Having the most votes doesn't mean you always become president. Welcome to history. I've got a list of some things I bet you didn't know about the US presidential elections. First up, 4 times in American history, we elected presidents who had lost the popular vote. This is possible due to the existence of the Electoral College. The system works by granting each state a number of electors equal to their representation in Congress, which is their senators plus reps in the House. And then, the electors vote based on which candidate wins their state. Though, if we're being honest here, there is no constitutional provision or even federal law that requires the electors to vote for whoever wins the state. The Founding Fathers were afraid that a voting majority could use their power to infringe upon the rights of other citizens, or worse yet, be duped into electing a tyrant, and so they decided to add this extra layer to the voting process. By the way, your vote wasn't always a secret. Till the United States transitioned to using what is called the Australian Ballot, your vote was pretty public. You'd have to cast your vote in front of the large crowds who waited around the polling station, and be subjected to all kinds of bribery or intimidation. In the early days, votes were often bought with whiskey, or even just flat out bought with cash. This interference reached a peak in the mid-1800s when men like the infamous Boss Tweed printed out pre-filled voting cards and distributed them to large groups of immigrants who owed his political machine favors. Nowadays, you have the right to an official ballot being available at your polling station, which was printed at the public's expense, which has the names of the nominated candidates of all parties, and is filled out in secret. So, yeah, progress. Hillary isn't the first woman to run for president. That honor goes to Victoria Woodhull, who ran multiple times, starting in 1872, almost 50 years before women even had the right to vote. She started her life as a professional psychic medium, and then went on to become the first woman stockbroker on Wall Street, where she and her sister made a fortune. Woodhull moved into politics after she became the first woman to ever testify before a congressional committee on the subject of women's suffrage, and went on to run for president on the Equal Rights Party ticket on a platform of women's suffrage and a removal of government interference in a woman's decision to marry, divorce, or have children. And I guess we're still kind of working on that. We don't know how many votes she actually received, but we do know that she was in jail on election day for exposing a local priest for adultery in the independent newspaper she ran. Because in case you couldn't already tell, ain't no one tell Vicky how to live her life. Candidates didn't used to be able to select their own vice presidents. Until the 12th Amendment, the vice president was selected based on who got the second most votes in the general election. This led to problems almost immediately in 1796, when a president and a vice president from separate political parties were elected. Problems continued until the 12th Amendment was ratified in 1804 and ensured that electors, remember those guys, would vote for a president and a vice president separately. The Founding Fathers hadn't anticipated that the Prez and the VP wouldn't get along, but they also didn't anticipate the impact of political parties on the country because there didn't used to be any political parties in the US. When George Washington ran for president, he did so unopposed and not affiliated with any political party. It wasn't until later in his presidency that the first parties formed, the Federalists and the Jeffersonian Democratic Republicans. In fact, Washington was against the idea of political parties altogether because he felt that they would seek to gain and retain power, even at the country's expense. He worried that political parties would use their power to exact revenge on their competitors, and that the existence of partisan politics would divide us as a nation. We're currently living in the 5th or 6th party system that America has seen, and who knows, we may be entering a 7th. Whether it's the funny cats that get you through your day, or the marine algae that produces the air that you breathe, let's talk about some of nature's unsung heroes, animals that have changed the course of human history.